Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs Diehards. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs Diehards. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs Diehards. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. Tonight we'll be discussing the squad basically and anything else that comes up, squad upgrades, players to keep and sell, how many do you think we'll actually keep, who we actually sell, being practical about it because like we're not going to get 8 players in, are we? So if we get a few more than I'm sure my guests think we'll get in, they must be on loans, I would think, or loans to buy rather than like go out and splash out money on 5 or 6 players. Anyway, without further ado, because I don't like doing long intros, I'll introduce my guests. We've got Deji back. He's been with us before. How are you, Deji?
Yeah, I've been good. Excited, nervous at the same time. I'm feeling everything, every emotion that every Spurs fan is feeling at the moment. You know what I mean? Good.
You got your Europa League Cup final fever already?
I have. I've been thinking about it, and I haven't been sleeping because for me, I think this is the biggest final Spurs have ever been in. And I know that's a big statement. It's the biggest because so much is riding on it. We could have 2 for the price of 1, which is we get Champions League football and we get that trophy drought off our back, or we could be staring at our worst ever league performance in history, at least in 143 years. So I feel like usually when you're in a final, it's you win or lose, but there's no other significance apart from a little bit of a dent in your pride. For me, Tottenham either saved their season or it confirms that we are really, really in the mud. And if we are in the mud, how long is it going to take to get us back? And that's why I feel really nervous. Yeah.
We're looking at another reset, and as you rightly alluded to, I mean, we need to win this competition because it'll have a big bearing on our transfer window. We won't need a bigger squad if we've not got European games next season.
Yeah.
And that probably pleased Daniel with the wages. So let's introduce Brad, regular guest and friend of the show. How are you, Brad?
I'm, like Deji, very stressed at the moment for many, many reasons, Spurs being one of them. The company I work for was cyber attacked the other week, all in the press and that. So we've had to be sort of trying to fight our way through that, which is a real pain in the bum. We're all working in the office now, no working from home for the next month or so, which is really annoying. Then I've gone through the stress of getting a ticket for today's final. I could have got one, but I just know where I can get there at the moment. I figured about doing a luxury coach that's sold out. Planes are too expensive. So I'm going to see what's around in the morning. I've still got till, I think, 12 o'clock tomorrow. But I don't think I'll be going now. I think I'll be going to the pub, which will probably save me money, to be fair. And, with Spurs, what Deji was saying about the most important game, it's almost like the how they describe the playoff finals, isn't it? Because the playoff finals means you get a lot of money. You don't not only do you get promoted, but you get loads and loads and loads of money. So it's a big game. It's the first, hopefully the first final that we'll win since my father passed away, 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. So it'll be quite emotional for me if we do win it. And there's a thing that as a Spurs and England supporter, I've lost my last 6 finals. So I'm hoping that's about to change. But,
I've had happier experiences than you guys because I've been supporting this team a lot longer during successful periods. But I'm not nervous at the moment. It will come. Don't get me wrong. On the day of the final, I'll probably need to drink all the way through it just to calm my nerves, because that's the way. Yeah, well, it just does that to you. Doesn't the roller coaster, white knuckle run of trying to get through 90 odd minutes of football and praying that isn't extra time and penalties. You'd rather be put out your misery and took around the corner and shot.
Yeah, I agree.
That, right?
I agree.
So and well, for those of you listening, it might mean nothing at all. I mean, way back, I dreamt that we won the cup 2-1, right? So before we went away to Frankfurt, because no one expects us to win, I had a tenner on at 9-2. Today, I've had loads of bets at 2-1, and that might mean nothing. It might just be my subconscious wanting us to win the cup. It might be complete and utter rubbish. But I've had all these 2-1 bets. Son scored the first goal in one bet. Johnson to score the first goal in 2-1 in one bet. I've got Porro to score the first goal in one bet. I went through loads of players. They're only silly pound bets, but they're all like 45s to 1 and things like that. So like if one of them comes up, right, I just want the win. I don't give a shit about the money, right? But yeah. Anyway, we're moving. Let me go to let's go and say the chat first. Evening, Brian. No, Brian Well, good friend of mine. Evening, Graham, good friend of the show. Hi, Graham. Evening, Audio, another regular friend of the show. Graham saying hi to Audio. There's those of you, and then there's 10 viewing us now, and it will go up, though. It will go up, right? So into the banners we go. Right.
I must say your new intro song, which I think I've heard before anyway, but I was just thinking that the Eurovision Song Contest coming up soon. I think that would be a winner if it was entered into it.
If it was the usual Finland heavy metal band going in that competition, and I don't watch Euros, you know what I mean? But yeah, that I could understand it. It might get a point, right? Right, keeps old players. I've put the squad up. I've left out some of the younger players we'll come to in a minute. So, Deji, if we go through this, I mean, goalkeeping looks like we'll keep. Who are we keeping? Who's going?
Is this based on realistic or what I would want?
Oh, and what you want as well, because I mean, like, yeah, we do both. I mean, like, because when we talk about upgrades, I mean, that'll be different. I mean, like, because it's a question of how many realistic players are we going to get in? You know, I mean, but so
I mean, okay. Quickly whizzing through it. I think Austin has to leave because I feel like he's been there for so long.
He's just signed he only recently signed a 5 or 6 year contract. It was the England, White.
But you know, what is the point of that really? Austin is never going to be a first team goalkeeper at Spurs. We're just hanging him on for out of sentiments, and for me, you can't have sentiments in football. You either like him or you don't. If they liked Austin, then there would have been no need for Kinksky. But clearly they didn't trust him enough, and they brought in Kinksky, who's been looking very, very kinky in his last couple of games for our club. So realistically, I think Vicario stays number one. However, if you're asking me if I'm happy with Vicario, I'm unsure. Sometimes he has good moments. Sometimes I'm like, he could do better. I feel like I would want an upgrade on Vicario, even though that's not going to happen. And then backline quickly.
Well, let's do goalkeepers first, and I ask Brad. Then we do fullbacks. Then we do centre backs, midfielders, forwards. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll zip for it all, and the show will be done in 5 minutes. Brad, what's your take on the goalkeepers?
Well, I'm sort of the opposite of Deji there. I mean, I think you probably need 3 goalkeepers in your squad. Obviously, Vicario and Kinksky are number 1 and number 2. I think Austin has done enough to be the number 3, and I think Whiteman, he's a guy. I mean, he's not even. I mean, at least Austin's had some games. Whiteman can't even get a game, so I think it's a bit unfair on him. And he's not a bad keeper, so I think they need to sell Whiteman and go with that. I mean, I don't think we're going to get a new goalkeeper in. Vicario has his moments, but other times he saves the day. No pun intended. So yeah. I mean, to be fair, there aren't that many absolutely top goalkeepers that are brilliant. Every goalkeeper that I know who's supposedly good has got a few little faults. So I think, I think we'll stick with Vicario. Kinksky, still an unknown thing at the moment. I think he didn't do too bad on Sunday against Palace. Didn't do anything wrong. he showed some good promise in his early games, and then he started to, show a little bit of nerves and that sort of thing. But he's only a young lad. But yeah, so I'd go Whiteman. I'd just basically, how many loans has he had? Let's get some bids in for him.
Yeah. With the goalkeeping, it's consistency. Kingsley came in, started well, didn't he? Then he looked a bit shaky and come off. He let him lose goals against Villa away in the cup and think, right. And that when they're that soft, they make you just knocks the stuffing out of you.
Yeah.
And Vicara it's this distribution, isn't it? I'm always when we're at the stadium, Brad, when I meet up with you and that, I'm like saying, wait until we're set. And why haven't the coaches, right? Why haven't the coaches said, right, like after a corner he's got the ball, our players sort of strolling forward, right? You should be running forward, making sort of available so at least he can distribute the ball. And then he might throw it out to one player who's pretty, marked by two opposing players. So his distribution is, he's better at crosses now. He has got better. He's got better at corners. But we'll see next season, won't we? He's not going anywhere. Neither's Kingsley. And we'll see if Kingsley overtakes him or vice versa. I'm glad there's competition, even with Austin, because Austin's pretty solid. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the fullbacks. I'm not going to include Sarr on the fullbacks. Well, you can if you want. Udogie, Spence, and Porro. Deji, we happy with these three?
I think when they are on form, they could be as good. I remember thinking last season when we had that good run that maybe Udogie and Porro could almost bring back the good days for me anyway, when we had Danny Rose and Carl Walker, and then we had a bit of a fall off. If they play at their potential, Porro's good. Udogie is good. It's just that they lost form, and then it made me question. The other thing is, I actually think Jed Spence has had a good season in the main. I know he didn't have a good game against Palace on the weekend, but I think what we've seen with Spence is maybe the poor management from Postecoglou, because he didn't put a foot wrong, to be honest, and then he's been dropped. And Postecoglou had warned about that, saying when Udogie's back and Porro's back, that's the starting lineup. So for Spence, it's like he can't do any more than he's done to prove himself that he deserves a starting berth. And it just means under this manager, it's not going to happen. But I'm happy with them on their day when they're on form. They're as good as any.
You happy with them, Brad?
Yeah. No, I agree totally. I would still like to see another left back brought in. I know Spence does well at left back, but it'd be nice to have like two left backs and two right backs, because I think Sunday showed that outside of our top 9 or 11 players, we haven't got the squad that can come in and compete at the same level. They're decent players, don't get me wrong. We've got decent players in our squad, but they're not at that level that you need to be challenging for cups and titles and that sort of thing. Yeah. So, I'd keep those free and bring in another quality left back just to make the squad sort of even, if you like. I think going back to Porro, I think Porro is probably one of the best passers of the ball in the team.
Yeah.
So that's very usable. I do wonder what would happen if we change managers who comes in and plays normal fullbacks, whether that would expose Porro a little bit, maybe defensively. But that's to be seen, I guess. But no, I'm well happy with those three, definitely.
I'm a big fan of Udogie. I have some sympathy for him because he started the pre-season out of being injured and he's been poor throughout. But in recent games, he's showed signs of getting his mojo back. Yeah. And I think he could be one of the top 5 left-sided defenders, fullbacks on this planet. I think he's got that higher ceiling.
Yeah.
With Spence, I like Spence. He'd see him like the goalkeepers. He's been a little bit off it recently. Now he hasn't actually been overplayed. Porro, I critiqued him like mad when he first come to this club. I think he's technically superb, like I said, for the crosses. Especially he's got the opportunity to cross to both Solanke and Richarlison on the far post. You know what I mean? When he's coming from the right. But Yeah, there's rumours about him going, but he loves it at the club. We knew he loves it at the club.
see that.
So
I just don't know why we don't try playing him out on the right wing. I just never.
Yeah.
thought-
Well,
yeah.
I think Udogie and Porro, when you think of it, they were actually bought into playing with a back three.
Yeah.
You know, so
he,
I agree. Porro is I think he could definitely play that forward role if we needed.
He's not a winger though. He's not. He can if he's put through an overload get past his man, but he's not really a winger. We've seen him get past his man with overloads with two against one and that, and he has got a nice cross on him. And we've all questioned him defensively at times. Superb player. But, there's enough coaches with his first team. There's 6, including the goalkeeping coach, to sort these things out. Yeah, well, you get rid of the manager, we'll sack the coaching staff as well and the science team while you're at it, right? So, So while we're on the subject of fullbacks, have you guys, either of you, any particular – I've got one. Have you got any particular fullbacks that you'd like to bring in?
I've got a couple, yeah.
I'll throw one into that, might help you out. We were linked with him before. There's a bit of rumours lately. Vanderson at Monaco, right? Brazilian, right? And he's a tank. And to me, now, because all of us would have lost.
Is he a fullback or a centre back?
Well, he's played. When I watched the videos of him last season, when we were linked last season or a bit before that, he plays at right. And he's a bit like Dumfries, right?
Yeah.
Right on the right. He's the opposite you. He's a tank on the right. He can play at centre back, and I think he can play DM as well. But I don't know, because I know the right backs. Any right back in this, if you go for, if you go for anyone out in the Premier League, you're going to play a premium for them. We're not doing that, right? So. Because most of our money, I think, should go on a number 9, but we'll come to that later. So, what have you got any names, Deji?
I'm sorry, go.
Well, Brad, I've got 2 names that I think would do a great job. And I can live with Spence and Porro at right back, but I agree we need cover or we need competition for Udogie. The 2 names that stand out for me is Kirkes from Bournemouth.
Yeah,
what a player, and Robertson from Fulham. These are both players that Spurs should be able to bring in. Yeah, Robertson this season has been probably Fulham's best player. Flies down that left-hand side, down that left wing. So Kirkes or Robertson would be my.
Would you take a Tyrick Mitchell in the last year of his contract with Palace?
Yeah, he can do a job, but is he much better than Spence? Is the question I would ask.
Yeah, and what about you, Brad? You got any names or?
Is there a left back at Fulham?
Yeah, Robertson.
Yeah,
Robertson.
Yeah.
He wasn't too bad. I think we're okay for right back.
Yeah.
But I think the guy at Fulham. I mean, I think there's probably a decent load of players at Palace that we could get hold of actually, all throughout our team.
I think the whole Palace squad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that Munoz Saturday played out of his skin against us.
I like Lacroix as cover to Van der Ven. Yeah.
So, I mean, when we come to centre backs, you can pick ones which you think can play at fullback as well, But okay, then. So that's that. Now, if we move into midfield, the issue we have, I mean, I'm going to include Gray as a midfielder. He's going to end up there. He'll only be playing as a fullback if we get injuries. And if we get injuries, we know we're in the shit, right, again next season, right? So Gray, Sarr, Basuma, Kulu, Madison. Who am I missing here? Bentancur and Bergvall. I haven't put them in. I probably didn't have enough words. I was probably at the 200. Bentancur and Bergvall. So you happy with those, or you want upgrades? I mean, everyone's talked about a number 6. I think we'll get Johnny Cardoso because he's too good. He's a no-brainer deal, and he's a good player as well.
He said he doesn't want to join us though.
Well, we lift that Europa League and we're in the Champions League next season. I think players' minds can change.
Yeah.
I mean, I looking at those midfielders, I still think we need, and I don't, I know they're not available, but we need a Steven Gerrard / Graham Roberts / Roy Keane / Dave Mackay type player that can organise the midfield and just bring it through the tough times when we get them. Basuma's a strange one. He is. I mean, I was selling him a few weeks ago, and now he's played magnificently in the Europa League games. If you guarantee you play like that, I'd keep him. But I just don't know. He just seems you don't know whether he's going to do something out of the ordinary and get himself sent off or
not for me. Not for me.
So I mean,
I'll go after Deji's as you say on this.
I think Basuma. I think
we could.
We never got the Basuma that we thought we were buying. It's just unfortunate because if he did play like he has in those 2 Europa League games, then I'd keep him. But I can't guarantee he's going to do that. So Sarah's a strange one as well. Sarah's promised so much, but I don't know. It's hard to know what he's about. He's certainly
pops up with some goals. He's got 6 goals and 3 assists this season. He scores in big games.
I mean, you could see him as like the guys at Man City. What's the guy? Can't remember his name. This is age for you. The Man City guy. What was the guy's name? Torre. Was it Torre?
Yeah.
That sort of player. Because he's very fit. He runs all day. And he goes up and down. Gray is another one I think that, we haven't really seen him play in the midfield, but that's his role. And I think there's definitely a decent player there. My mates in Australia who are Leeds fans are absolutely gutted that we've got him. Yeah. And they're basically trying to hold on to his brother, who's apparently good as well. Yeah. Bentancur, Kursesi, Madison. Yeah, I'll probably keep them.
He's due a new contract, Bentancur. I think he'll sign it and he'll be with us for the rest of his career.
I mean, I think we all know the talent of Kulusevski. I think he's a very, very good player. And he's also a player that wants to win. He doesn't pull any punches. Bentancur, I think, has suffered from the fact that he had those 2 injuries. I still don't think he's actually fully recovered from that. But he, like Basuma, has been absolutely brilliant in the last Europa League games. Madison's another one of those players, has brilliant days, has days where you don't even see him. So, but yeah, I don't see any reason to sell. I mean, it depends on who's out there. I mean, Cardosa, he could come in.
Yeah, on that, Deji. I mean, like, if you include Madison in midfield and we keep him Basuma or whatever, that's 7 midfielders. But in a 25-man squad, if you've got you'd want 6 midfielders the way we play. If you're playing any form of the 3, whether it's a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, you'd want 6. We got 7. But having said that, in a 25-man squad, if you've got 22 players, you've got 2 in every position. The 23rd player is your 3rd goalkeeper. That leaves you 2 extra players. So you could have 2 extra midfielders because this is where we've really suffered this season. Most games are won and lost in midfield. And if we had 8 midfielders, I wouldn't be against it, having 8 midfielders, sharing the responsibility. As long as they weren't all the same,
Yeah, I'm going to take a more radical approach. Sorry, Brad. The only midfielders that I would keep at Spurs at the moment would be Archie Gray, because I've got Leeds fans in my chat telling me, look, he's mustard, but we've played him out of position. Bergvall has really stepped up.
Bergvall.
He's really surprised me. And Kulusevski, I would get rid of the rest. I'm not convinced. I would like to see the likes of Cunha from Wolves, Gomez, even that Rodgers kid at Villa, Adam Walton from Palace. I feel like we need. I just feel like our midfield is not balanced. There's no balance there. We need a holding midfielder. We need a number 8, a good number 8, and we need a killer number 10. Madison's not a killer. He's too hot and cold for me. I prefer Cunha in that position. You know what you're going to get. We need legs. We thought that was going to be Papsar. We thought that was going to be Bentancur. We thought that was going to be Basuma. It's none of them. They're not up to the standard that's required of our club. So let's go out and get an Adam Walton. Let's be progressive. And then we should have brought in a Polina or an Edison or someone else who can or Belabor at Brighton. There's players there that when you're up against the bigger teams, the Arsenals, the Liverpools of this world, they're going to give them a game. And I just felt too often that we were just soft in the middle. So for me, I'd keep Cooley, I'd keep Archie, Bergvall, and then I'd get rid of the rest.
I wanted Fratesi. I think we'll get Cardoso instead of Fratesi. I've been banging on about
These
it for a
type of
while.
players, big players, yeah.
He's a box to box beast.
Yeah.
You know, he's like Højbjerg on steroids as far as I'm concerned. He hasn't had all the game time. He come on a sub. Did he score the winner in that Champions League game? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah,
He does get forward and get the odd goal, and he's just a tank in there.
Mm.
Qatar's like brave. I mean, he's brave. He's box to box. He's energetic. He's technically quite good. He's really stepped up this season. I mean, the reason I think we'll get him is because you could buy him for the 21 million in a clause because of the Lo Celso deal, and you could sell him for 30 mil tomorrow. You know, so he's a Levy deal, isn't he? He's a Levy deal.
Will he do? My question is, will he do well in the Prem?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, he's built for it. Yeah,
he looked.
but I think he would, but that's only my opinion. I mean, and then we might go for someone who's a bit lighter, who's on a free, who's rumoured to want to come, and that's Angel Gomez. Right, so he looked good for England, but he's diminutive and he looks lightweight, doesn't he? But
I don't know.
He's technically superb, right? He is technically very good, but is he going to survive a full season in the Premier League?
I just don't. I've said this many times on your show and other shows that whenever I hear, we might go for him because he's available on a free.
Yeah,
I think that's not what winning clubs do.
No.
You know, and that really annoys me. And the players that you mentioned are probably very, very good players, but we've got, will we go for them or will we go for the next best thing? The one step down. And that's what we seem to do.
Yeah, I'm interested in quality, not price. I don't care if the player's on the free, if he's at the end of his career, but he's a good player and he won't get a contract with his own club, and you can utilise them and they're good and they're quality. I'll take them. I don't quite get it when someone says because a player cost you 15 mil, he's got to be crap, but the 60 million player's got to be good. That hasn't worked out for us with Ndombele and Lo Celso and Davinson Sanchez. So. You want the quality?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just to add, I think for me at the moment, one of the best squads in the Prem is Newcastle. And what I do is I look at who we're trying to bring in or whoever our midfield is. I think Newcastle have the best midfield three in the league, hands down. It's not surprising what they do. Yeah. So the question I ask you is the midfield three that you're thinking of for Spurs, can it compete with Newcastle's midfield three? Because if it can't, it ain't good enough.
Well, we've seen it do well in flashes away at Man United and Man City. We've seen it do well at home to Villa, West Ham, Everton. But so when there's been changes, their midfield recently, it showed signs of having cohesion at times in some games, right? The best took to get through all this season, do it. When we've changed it up and all that, it's lacked cohesion, and the front three have lacked fluidity. The front three still lacks fluidity. We've looked a bit better in midfield now. We know what our back 5, 6, or 7, who you're picking, can do, but the front three to me is still below par. It just lacks fluidity and understanding. Players moving. When you used to get forwards that had a bit of a telepathic understanding, we haven't got that. We score a lot of goals, but it still looks disjointed to me. But on let's not go to forwards just yet. But
I was going to say it still depends on if we win the Europa League and we're in the Champions League, that can draw players in. That's a bit more money. Depends on what happens with Levy getting investors in, or I don't think he's going to sell, but getting investment in there. It depends on what the manager is. Maybe maybe. I mean, I think Ange will go at the end of the season. I think he'll go. He'll basically just say, "I'm off."
Regardless,
win or lose on Wednesday, I think he'll go.
Out of their midfielders, I'm keeping 6. I'm getting rid of Basuma. I had this the other day. I was chatting to Drew Zilla and Steve of Stateside Footy. Saying he was good. Perhaps you would keep him. Well, hang on. This is where we get too emo attached to players. We did it before with Sissoko. We did it before with Serge Aurier. We do it with players like that. Then they're bad. And then they play a good game and all the love returns. Hang about. And Basuma saying the other one, you'll see the new Basuma. You've had the whole season to show us what you could do. You can't do it consistently. No, you're in the last year of your contract. Come the summer, I'm getting rid. And I know, look, we're only going to bring in 1 or 2 midfielders. Madison, he does give you something different. He's the most skillful one we've got. Go on, Dudgy.
What is your strongest midfield three?
On fire, I would say Madison, Kulusevski, and then it's Bergvall or Bentancur, 3 out of those 4. And if I was pushed, I would go for Bentancur because he's got the experience. If it's the Bentancur we had from last season, when he used to drive us up the pitch more than not so much of the defensive role, but 3 out of those 4.
Do you think that midfield you just named is a top 6 midfield?
Maddison on his day and Kula on his day, yeah. Bergvall has shown signs, but he's still developing. And if Bentancur's back to his best, like he was last season, those 3, yeah, definitely they can match him.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from because we've had so much inconsistency. That's the thing.
Because I'm looking at Brighton's midfield. Brighton's midfield is better than ours. Fulham's midfield is better than ours. Bournemouth midfield is better than ours. Palace midfield is better than ours. I'm not convinced, even on form, that midfield 3 could overpower Crystal Palace. I mean, you saw the game on the weekend. That's my fear. I feel like they're good players, but I feel like maybe we've lowered our standards. We used to have Dele Alli. Yeah, we used to have Christian Eriksen and Dembele. Yeah, and
Wanyama as well.
I mean, come on, that midfield can take on anyone. You know. And now I'm looking at this midfield. I'm like, well, I'm not actually sure who you can be. Maybe Leicester. You know what I mean? And that's the bit that I think is missing. And I know we're going to get into it with our attack. I actually think.
I agree. I agree. The thing is, though, when we've had to make changes, we've never been able to have 3 out of those 4 playing consistently. It's only recently we've seen it, and people said, "Oh, that midfield looks better, right? It looks a bit of cohesion there." But whenever we've made changes, I mean, there's been games when it's worked, when Sar's come on and done well. I still think he's got a higher ceiling. I still think he's got, he's not going nowhere. He's signed on a long contract, isn't he? Like Udogie has as well. Like, I'm glad that Bergvall signed to 2031 as well. So, so I get it. I mean, I'm being practical. It's not the question I wouldn't get rid of more, but I'm thinking how much business are we actually going to do in a transfer window? Even taking it the worst way, we're going to win this Europa League, but if we didn't, right, then how many midfielders are we actually going to bring in? We're not going to bring in 3 or 4. We're only going to bring in a couple, right? And we'll get onto that later, So, and I think Cardoso comes in, and then we'll see what else happens, because everybody's talking right wing, a centre forward, left back, right back, aren't they? It's where we're looking really. Yeah. So that's the midfield.
I'll just say last point on Cardoso again. For me, if we're looking, like Brad was saying, if we're looking to kick on and compete again, I'm not sure Cardoso is the type of quality. I'm looking at Eze coming into our squad. If we brought in an Eze, we mean serious business. If we bring in a Walton, Cardoso for me just feels like we're getting another Bentancur, maybe. He's not going to start. He's not. He's got too much. I want a guaranteed starter, not someone ruffling feathers with Basuma and Bentancur on the bench. That's for me. But
you want oven ready players, basically.
Well, you've got to hope that dabbling in the youth market is finished, and I'm not complaining. I think we've got some decent, very good youth players. Graham and Bergvall, I think good players. But you got to hope that that's over, and now we get that. Yeah, as you say, the oven ready players. Because I think that players like Bergvall, he needs someone experienced to play alongside. You can't rely on those. You could potentially see a midfield at Tottenham in years to come of Gray, Bergvall, and Sarr. Potentially. I mean, but you're not going to get that. You're going to need them to be playing with other top players to get that experience and that sort of nous.
I mean, in the summer, we brought Solanke in. To be honest, out of all the videos I go and watch when a rumour gains gravitas, when people are actually talking, I know there's something there, and I go and watch these players. I mean, so last year I wanted Eze, like Deji did, who didn't want Eze, and I wanted Dorgu, who went to Man United, who hasn't set the world on fire because they're struggling like us, but that doesn't mean to say he won't hit the straps, right? I think he will. He looks a good player. And we got Slankin, who's got, if you go to transfer market, 15 goals and 8 assists this season. Now, I questioned the 15 goals because I went and checked it the other day to make sure I've been updating my list properly, because I thought he got 13 and about 8 assists or something. But it doesn't matter. We'll come to him later. Let's move on. We're on this. So that's the midfield, right? Let's talk about wingers. We've got about 7 guys. We've got Sonny on the left, haven't we? We've got Tell on the left. We'll forget Werner, right? We got something. We got Tell on the left. You've got Johnson. You've got Odegaard. You've got Yang Min Hook. You've got Solomon, who's done well at Leeds, and I'm missing someone else because I know there's 7. Is he on the list? Oh, Moore and Mikey Moore, right? Solomon's got 8 goals and 10 assists for Leeds. We sent him out to Leeds because he was injured badly, and he didn't have a pre-season. And we kept Udogie had a pre-season. I don't think that was the main reason he went out on loan. I think we'll sell Solomon, even though he's done well there. Yeah, but what's your take on our wingers, Deji or Brad? Either of you, it doesn't matter. Who
Brad,
needs to go then?
I'll kick off and then I'll do my moaning.
Go on.
Brad?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Well, none of them. Again, as I said earlier, they're good players, but none of them fill me with that X factor. That wow, I mean, Tell every now and again you think, oh, there's something there, and then it never sort of progresses. Odegaard, all right, okay, Odegaard had a very bad injury, so maybe you can give him the benefit of the doubt. But again, the final ball with him is lacking, but he's a young lad. I think Johnson, I wouldn't class as a winger anyway. I think he's more of an inside forward, but I think he's got a knack for goal. He knows where the goal is, and I think that's pretty important to have a player like that. But you can't say he's our winger because obviously your wingers, you want to take players on and cross the ball. Son, I think, again, I think he's going to have to reinvent himself because I think as he's got older, his pace is sort of starting to go. He's had a couple of injuries as well, but I still think he's got a lot to offer, and he's also a match winner as well. But again, he's not really a true winger. But then I'm probably old school. I look at the original wingers and that sort of thing. But yeah, we got a load of them. More, I think we can leave more out the conversation. Actually, the lad's only just turned 17, so I think he's definitely got a future. He's definitely a decent player. But I don't think we ought to be sort of saying, "Oh, keep him or sell him or whatever." No, let's just let him go along. Get games here and there. I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's done stuff to make me say we should start him every game because he's a match winner, because I don't think he is at the moment. But I think as time goes on, he'll be a very, very good player. But I don't think he should be in this conversation at the moment. Yeah. Again, if you say, "Oh, let's go and get another ready winger," it's like, well, okay, we'll have 8 wingers, sort of thing. It's how much do you need? I mean, Richarlison could be classed as not a winger, but a left-sided player. So. Yeah. But at the moment, they're decent enough, but they're not,
They're still developing. They're not oven ready again. Exactly. I mean, look, you can't ignore Johnson's goals. So you're going to keep him. He's a squad player, right? He can do the business for you. Everybody's complained about him not stepping up in the big games like Richarlison has, or even Sarr or whatever. And then Tell, we're not paying 60 million for Tell.
No, definitely not.
Well, has looked better every time I've seen him play. I've got to admit, he's got something. And I watched him in videos on YouTube to check I wasn't suffering delusions of grandeur. And I watched him on the left. And on the left, because he's played centrally and all that, I thought, you're not ready to play through the centre, right? No. And he does look good on the left, right, where his position is, but not for that. To me, he's a 30, 35 million player, because that's what you're paying for players like that now. That's what you're paying. That's what we paid for Odegaard. I think we paid 25. I think we paid for him.
Yeah, that was.
And so, and like you look at the others, Odegaard. Well, when Vincent Kompany was at Burnley, I mean, Odegaard come from the PSG academy to Burnley, and Vincent Kompany, he's now manager of Bayern Munich, isn't he? Absolutely raved about him. And before the Euros, his stats were identical to Nico Williams. But we know we'd all take Nico Williams, right? Obviously, right? But again, you see, this is potential again, and we're waiting again, and we're waiting again, and we're waiting for players to develop. And how much longer do we have to wait? We need to bring in oven-ready players in this transfer window, but we'll let
100%.
Deji have his rent now.
Yeah, no, it's hard because I look at Kleiber at Bournemouth. A year ago, I would have told you that he's absolutely pony. But what a tremendous season he's had. So the truth is, under the right manager, under the right coaching, these players could be world beaters. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But speaking of the quality, I get the point about Brennan Johnson maybe being that inverted striker. But at the moment, I don't think any of our wingers are good enough. And again, I have to cast your mind back to wingers. We had that David Ginola. We had Raul Fox, for crying out loud. We had Aaron Lennon. We had Son. This wing situation is pony. It's rubbish. I can't lie to you. I'm not happy with any of it. I look at the likes of Semenyo at Bournemouth. If he was on our right-hand side, look what he did to Arsenal the other week away at the Emirates. This is what I'm talking. 1v1 Merchant. I'll take an Elanga. Do you know what I mean? I'll take a Morgan Gibbs-White. Come on, there are players. Why didn't we go in for Harvey Barnes? Like, honestly, honestly, it wasn't hard. That's what I want. I want a Merchant who's going to run down that left, run down that right, whip the ball in, have a shot. And we don't have that on the wing. Son used to be that person, but he's not that person.
And it's much more than that, guys, because I banged on it. This was months ago. I banged on about before the last summer's transfer window. Actually, I'm saying, look, I don't care if we've got Messi on one wing and Ronaldo on the other. They can look pretty and as tricky as they could. We've all loved wingers in the past, Brad, that get you off your seat, right? But you need 100 goals to win this Premier League. So your wingers have got to be goal scorers. Yeah. They can be. I'd rather have a hard-working winger that wasn't tricky, that found the back of the net, than a flashy winger that doesn't get you any goals, right? Because it's not like you play two strikers in the middle that are going to get you 40 goals a season. And if you look at, I don't know what the goals total is now, what Liverpool's total is. If someone's in the chat, just throw it up. But then I look for our team and thinking, that's what you got to aim for, 100 goals. Where are we getting 100 goals from? Where are we getting on? And that includes the midfielders have got to chip in more as well. I mean, he's got his 12. Decky's got his 12 or whatever it is. Go on.
Adrian, and that's been Arsenal's Achilles heel. Because I said to the Arsenal fans when they were saying, well, we can win the league, we don't need a striker. I said to them, the season that Liverpool won the league, Mane was on 25 plus goals that season. Salah was on 25 plus goals that season. And then Firmino chipped in with about 18, 19 goals. So Arsenal, they've had Saka, but Martinelli doesn't chip in. Hence the reason why they've had the fall off. We're not our wingers. Okay, Brennan Johnson's done it this year. Son's not done it. Striker's not done it. So if you're gonna have winger, we need wingers who can chip in 15 plus goals on each side. Because if they can't do that, and that was my bugbear with Lucas Moura, because we had Kane banging in 20 plus goals. We had Son up there with 18, 19. And then you have Lucas Moura languishing with 8 or 9 goals in the season, in Premier League goals. It wasn't good enough. If we had, like a 15 plus winger, you're talking about Spurs potentially winning a league, definitely winning some trophies. And these are the fine margins. And I really don't think we have it.
And to back Adrian, you point, Brad, you can come in. And to back your point up, Deji, when Liverpool had Bobby Mathino dropping back a bit deep, you had Salah on one wing and Mane on the other. Was Mane and not Sane, wasn't I? I'll get them Mane. And they were banging in goals, the pair of them. Yeah, go on, Brad, sorry.
I was going to say, well, Mane, we turned him down because we didn't want to pay his wages. But anyway, when he's at Southampton. But that's another story. What you said about 100 goals, it might have been the 2017 season. I think we had Son, Eriksson, Kane, obviously, and Dele Alli all scoring 20 plus goals. Well, there's 20 each. That's 80 of those 100 goals.
Yeah,
it might be in all competitions. Maybe
I think that year Chelsea picked us to the title. We scored one more goal than them and conceded one less. And only Spurs could do that because you know what I mean. I think we scored about 86, but you could win the league then. It's because Man City won 7 out of the last league titles, 10, 11. They upped the bar. They started scoring 100 goals, like whatever. because Arsenal scored about 90 and could finish second, which is ridiculous, right? But now goals are hard to come by, as are number 9s, you know.
Well, I mean, think about Arsenal fans saying they don't need a striker. Well, look at Man City. You know, winning all his titles and still going for Harry Kane. And when they didn't get Harry Kane, they went for Haaland. You know, how many goals he scored for them? You know, so yeah, that's a
Jump
nonsense.
forward a bit there, guys. Let's talk about centre backs, right? We don't know if Davies is going or staying for another year. He's never let us down. 10 years at the club, so he deserves all the credit he gets, as far as I'm concerned. VDV, Romero, Dragusin, Danso. What do you think of these guys?
I actually like that.
I do. I think I think he should be a vice captain. I think he's got that in him.
I liked him. I watched him against Austria. I mean, against France, sorry, for Austria, and he broke Mbappe's nose. So I knew we were bringing in a tank when he came in, and I think he can form a formidable partnership with Van de Ven since Romero wants to sort off this summer. So
He's homegrown as well.
Yeah. So Danzo, I actually think what we need is just cover for Van de Ven, because Van de Ven will always get injured. That's a fact. And Ben Davies, I'm sorry, he's a legend, but we can't do I'm trying to kick on and put Tottenham back in the top 4. I'm not trying to go through another season. And it's not Ben Davies's fault. He is a squad player and he does a great job. But we need, when you look at Newcastle, Dan Burn, Botman, Shaw, you know, we need a Shaw. You know, we need a Botman type to compete. We need a Mark Gay. You know, we there's players out there again. We need an Anderson from Fulham. That's what I would like to see competing between the
Ideally, you get Hincapié who can play at left back, or you go to Feyenoord and you get David Hanko. I think his name's actually pronounced Hansko. The C's not pronounced as a C, and he's captain of Feyenoord and he plays left centre back and he can play left back as well. I mean, that's if we haven't got the money to go out and get one of those two in. I mean, like Hincapié's only Piero Hincapié's Ecuador, and he's only 24 now. And look, he's at Leverkusen with Tapsoba and Jonathan Tah, who's available on a free. Tah, I think Tah's a captain. I think he's an excellent. I know he's right-footed, but I would take him at 29. I would take him tomorrow.
Take him.
I mean, it depends on the manager situation, doesn't it? Because I can't see a new manager having such a high line as we do, because we really rely on Van de Ven's pace to clear up stuff. And I think without Van de Ven, we're very, very vulnerable. Well, we saw it on Sunday, didn't we, with that second Palace goal? And for all intents and purposes, Ben Davies isn't exactly quick. So I agree. Yeah, great servant to the club. But you have to look forward, not backwards. Romero, I think, will go. Dragusin, I thought was excellent when he first signed, and then he seemed to drop off a bit. So I'm undecided on him. Danso, I agree. Yeah, I think he definitely is a decent buy. And don't forget, we got the other lad coming in next year, haven't we?
Boskovic?
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah, he plays on the left-hand side as well.
Yeah,
he's not the quickest, but he got something like 6 goals in 20 games out there. And he came from a Hajduk Split. I think we gave 12 million for him when he was 16. He went to the Polish league, smashed it. He went to Westerlo with Alfie Devine, and he's absolutely smashed it out there. So we need to see if he can go on prison tour and show where he's worth. He's either got to be loaned or he's got to. He'll get a chance. So we'll see. Yeah. But the problem we have in the transfer window as well is because this club is in such a fucking mess as usual, right? It's like it's odds on Angie's going. But nothing's going to be decided until like the Europa League Cup final. You've got to give the man his moment of glory if he gets it. And then suddenly, if you then got to get a new manager in, you're going to rush the transfer window. Everything's going to get done in haste. I mean, it's 12 weeks and 3 days. It's 87 days. It's split because of the World Club Championship. But it's a big rush. And the transfer, and it goes 15 days into the new season as well, just to keep us in line with most of the clubs in Europe, not Turkey or Saudi Arabia. I think they're different, Let's get David's comment out. Welcome, David, anyway, as usual. Yeah, so centre-backs, Danso, by the way, for those of you listening, he had a choice when he was younger of playing rugby or football, and you can see the rugby player in him with his grit and spirit. You can see that in him. We like him. I want to see if he's got even a higher ceiling than that, because he's not too bad passing the ball. I want to see if he can progress us up the field like Romero does, if Romero goes, right?
We seem to be quite overstocked in centre halves because we got Dorrington and
Phillips.
Phillips out on loan. So
Yeah, Phillips at Stoke,
Yeah.
Dorrington's at Aberdeen, is it? I think it's whatever. Yeah, and Dragerson, right? All right, he come in, started brightly, got sent off against Karabag, didn't he? His positioning weren't good. Then people saying to me, "Well, he can't play in a system of high line." He can play in a high line because he's not slow. Dragerson is not slow.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It might be in my memory, but Pochettino played with a high line, but I don't remember Vertonghen and Alderweireld being that particularly pacey.
They read the game so well, though, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They read the game so well.
You know, it does show that you can play a high line without having to rely on a lot of
the
pace.
beauty of those two as well was for Belgium, because you had Vincent Kompany and I forget who was alongside him, they both played at fullback. So they were centre backs that could handle wingers better than most centre backs could, because the wingers coming at a centre back running at his feet, most of them struggle, give away a free kick or he goes past and scores. But those two were used to playing at fullback as well. So that was a double advantage we had with them. And we had the best back four in the league at the time. But yeah, so right then, let's move on to where we're weakest, the forward line. I mean, like you say, we've got Richarlison, Solanke, Son. Well, we're talking wingers. Let's look at number 9s. Richarlison, basically. Scarlett, who's been carrying a groin injury all season. He's had surgery recently. So we're short, aren't we? Richie and Solanke and all that. You've got to keep Solanke.
We
but
definitely need another striker.
Yeah,
I think Richarlison, to be fair, I know he gives, he's very passionate about the game and that, and he's done a good job again in the Europa League games he's played. But Richarlison, you're just waiting for that next injury, aren't you? Really? So I think they should basically take the money and run with that one. Yeah.
Who do you want? I mean,
well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Who do you replace him with?
I would. I mean, I know there's been talk about Jonathan David because he's on a free and he has upped his game this year, right? When I first watched him a season or so ago, I didn't rate him at all. I thought it was just a fox in the box type player, but he's done better. I know he hasn't been given much time at Juve, but when they brought Moani in, Vlahovic wasn't getting the game time. And you could get Vlahovic if he's my type of player, but I don't know if he's either of you two. But only because I'm thinking, depending on how much money we got to spend, and if we sold Richarlison, Solomon, Basuma, Romero, we'd have about 120 mil. Easy.
More than that.
Right?
Less than 8
with 120 mil, you could put 30 mil down on 4 players. You won't do that. It depends how much the selling club wants as a down payment. So, yeah, that's a conservative amount. All right, Gil will go for 5 mil probably in Højbjerg. They've still got to pay the 8.5 mil on for him. Marseille have got to pay for him, and they've got Champions League football. So that shouldn't be a problem for them coughing up. So, yeah. So, I mean, would you go for someone proven in the Premier League? Would you want to go and, I mean, would you even take a Delap? I mean, he's another one who's.
I like Delap when I've seen him.
I like Delap.
He bullied Gray at centre back. Now to switch to centre back second half when we won away at Ipswich, but he's still another one developing. I mean
they'll need the money.
He would be the cheaper option out there, I think, out of all the ones that
Ipswich will need the money, and you've also got the McKenna, the manager, who's got Tottenham links.
Yeah,
so
ex-coach, ex-Spurs coach McKenna.
I think it's a shame about Richarlison because I've seen him at Watford and at Everton, and on the left, I never thought he was an out-and-out 9. I always thought he could be a player on the left. So seeing that Ange's put him out on the left-hand side has pleased me in a way because I think he can do that job, especially if Son can't do it. But let's assume that he's sold. I think we need a Delap and a Solanke. The biggest problem we have at Spurs, though, is you can't bring in a Delap under Ange. Because Ange does not aim or play to the striker's strengths. He uses the strikers as donkeys and decoys. So the lap comes in, he doesn't score either because he's looking for Brennan Johnson, with the wing play and vice versa. He's looking for Tell to score from Brennan Johnson, Tell to Brennan. So that's why I was saying if Ange was to leave, I would like an Iriola because Iriola was able to unlock Solanke at Bournemouth. Solanke he's a good player. We're just not playing to his strengths. And then I think the lap is similar. Hold up play, can win the ball in the air. He's aggressive. He's strong. You know, you could even So I would love those two. And
well, that's the thing with Solanke. His hold up work is exemplary. So you can imagine a forward three of Solanke, Eze, and Delap, couldn't you? Really?
Yeah,
that would be. You know.
If he had better service, I mean, when he got me sitting up in my seat, Brad. Remember that goal? Forget who we played. He come on the left-hand side of the penalty area, cut him, beat two players. He's still on the outside the box, and he slotted the ball into the corner there. It was sort of Akar Harry Kane style. Do you remember that?
When United in the League Cup, I think that was.
Was it?
Could be wrong.
And I thought, have you got more of that in you? But because we've been such crap up front this season, right? Because we've been pants.
We don't aim for
he's done all right. He's done. Look,
but we don't aim for
only strikers at this club over the decades I've supported that are better, miles better than Solanke. What I've seen of Solanke so far.
We don't aim for him.
Yeah, we miss that Harry Kane ability to shoot from outside the box very, very quickly. Just get the ball, shoot. We also had that with Jermaine Defoe. He was very, very good at that. We seem to miss that because you haven't got a lot of time in Premier League football. So if you can get that ball and get a shot away quickly, you can score more goals than you're not.
I think
the thing that's missing, though, sorry guys, I think the thing that's missing is that Solanke is actually good in the air, and Postecoglou likes the ball played on the floor. Have you noticed that where he started to score is when the ball started to go up? Porro's now starting whipping crosses, and now the opportunities are being made. The issue with Solanke, I'll tell you this now: if Solanke was at Arsenal this season, I think they win the league because they feed him. What they don't have is that they don't need Arsenal. Don't need Kane. They just needed someone half decent.
I think he scored about 7 headers in about 160 odd games. Solanke but I want crosses in the box because it's not that you've got knock-ons from the centre forward, and you can cause a lot of confusion by putting crosses into the box as well. And defenders will make mistakes, so you don't stop doing it because your main striker hasn't got a hatful of goals with his head. Right, you still put them in there. We have started to put more crosses into the box. You can tell they're working on things, but I just think it's just, although we're improving, which we want to see, in little bits really. It isn't enough. It's too late. Ange had passed the tipping point before even the injured players had come back. His days were numbered then. I'll always support the manager and players were at the club. But he's gone, right? And if he takes a trophy with him, excellent.
I hope for Ange's sake. I actually like Ange, and I wanted him to do well. But it dawned on me around after the Palace game where I said Spurs could lose 18, 19 games this season because we were doing win one, lose one, win one, and that was a joke. And today we're on this panel having lost 20 games. I do think he's out of his depth. What I would love for him is for him to win. So he has that thing, which is I always win in my second season. And he leaves with a bit of dignity. But the problem is...
Sorry, go on.
But no, I was saying the problem is he's gambled with Spurs this season. And this is why I'm not happy. This game is either we breathe a sigh of relief or it's been Spurs' worst performing season in recent history. The stake of, it's just two extremes for me. And that's why even if Ange wins, he can't be trusted. He must go. There's a lot of Spurs fans that want him to stay. There's a lot of Spurs fans saying if he wins the Europa League, he should be given more time, given the context and the circumstances. I'm saying we cannot afford to take that risk.
I just think that his style of football in the Premier League, I think there's too many decent teams in the Premier League, too many decent coaches that can work out how to play against it. And we saw that in his first season after the very successful start, and then we got worked out. He has shown a little bit of flexibility. The Europa League games, he sort of played the double pivot and that sort of thing. I just think the Premier League's been his downfall. In knockout games, it's one-off games effectively. So you can always have success in cup rounds. I would just like to win the Europa League. I just like the last game of the season when they're doing the lap of honour it would be nice to hear the crowd do the Ange Postecoglou song one last time. And that,
A bit of romantic in you then.
yeah, that is actually, because I agree with Deji there. I've really liked him. I like the way people don't like his way he goes with the media. I think he's good. He's very abrasive. That's Australians. That's what they're like. I lived there. I know it. And I think he's a very good man, motivated. I loved his speech. He said in the dressing room after the semi-final win the other night. I've seen other speeches he's given other teams. I just think he's very good at that sort of thing. He's a very good man manager. It's quite obvious that despite what we've gone through this season, the players are behind him and they're still playing for him.
They will while they're in cup competitions. I mean, the anomaly this season is.
I think even I've seen him in some league games. They've done that as well. I think they're definitely trying. It's a shame. It would have been brilliant for him to work. It really would, because let's face it, those first 10 games where I think we were 5 points clear at the top of the table. I mean, we all knew it wasn't going to last. We're realistic at the end of the day, but it was fun. It was just really fun.
Deji's got to go in a couple of minutes. Just get his take on manager options. Thanks for coming on, Deji. We will get. You're usually available on Tuesdays. Is where we do.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
No. I mean,
look,
yeah.
There was a moment. There was a moment this season where I was prepared to have Levy in charge of our club. It was that bad, and I was that in the mud. In terms of new manager options, I'll take all of these managers, to be honest with you, apart from Scott Parker. I would take Inzaghi all day long. I think he's proved himself. Is it the second Champions League final in 3 seasons, something like that? Xavi, he's available. He's already hinted that he wants to be at our club. And if you're looking at the fact that who Luis Enrique, the job he's doing, one thing you know for certain, whether you like it or not, Spanish football is dominating world football in terms of players and in terms of managers.
Well, Ancelotti's going to manage Brazil, isn't he? So
yeah, but
Xavi probably takes his place.
I think Alonso's taking.
Alonso's at Madrid.
Right.
Alonso's going to Madrid. So what I'm saying is, we could do wrong if we got a Spanish manager, Xavi. Glasner, he's shown what a job he's done at Palace. I mean, the team he's put together there is formidable. I don't think even our strongest 11 beats that Palace team, if I'm being honest.
And he won the Europa League with Frankfurt.
Silva's a good manager. I've seen him take Iwobi, who I thought was absolute pants, Emil Smith Rowe pants, a lot of pants, and he's turned them into a half-decent side this season, and he's turned your lad, Brad Robertson, at left-back, into an absolute monster. And then Iriola, look, anyone that could get that, he's got Kluivert. Semenyo came from Bristol City. Kirkes came from the 2nd division in the Hungarian league. These are players that, if they came to Spurs, we'd be jumping up and down in our chair. They've shown that they can take, like where I'm criticising Basuma, I'm criticising Brennan Johnson, I'm criticising Tell. Maybe a Silva, maybe an Iriola gets at their potential. That's the difference. So, any one of them. I'm not sure about Thomas Frank, though.
Well,
I know people like
Kovac, for those who remember me, managed Bayern Munich when Brad and me were probably at the stadium when they spanked us 7-2 in the Champions League.
Was he? Wow.
Yeah, it was Nico Kovac. De Zerbi, he's a bit of a firebrand. He was at Brighton, he's at Marseille now, but they've just got Champions League football. Parker's just got promoted with Burnley, hasn't he? Frank, a bit pragmatic. So you don't know these managers who might excel at Spurs, where they've got a bit more in the way of resources, Yeah. I want a manager that's going to promote youth, because I watched every under-21 game last season and we got some cracking players. Now, I know that probably 95% of them will be sold on, because that's the way it is with youngsters. But you want to see a few of them, give them a chance to see if they, especially with the last game against Brighton as well at home, and even this Villa game. What we don't want is any injuries, please, because
we're going to roll out the red carpet for Villa on Friday, which I'm quite happy to do.
And they need the points, so they're going to smash us, right? Although I'll still back Spurs to win, because that's the way I am, or draw. I go, so we get a draw. But they want the points. They want to try and get Champions League football, and they're in the mix. So,
but before I leave, I just wanted to say, for me, the measure of a manager, and this is probably the reason why I need Ange out, is because I'm looking, Pochettino. Nobody expected the success we were going to have under Poch, but he was able to work with the squad that he had. Let's remind you that he got Dele Alli for 5 mil. All right, so let's remember he got Dembele pretty cheap as well. He didn't go out and spend massive money, and then he was lucky with Kane. But what I would say is Areola has proved himself, and Silva and Glasner, that they can build a team on a shoe, on a shoe thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that's what Spurs need. Can we bring in, because Levy doesn't want to spend, and that's fine. That's why I keep saying people blame Levy all the time, and yes, rightly so. But really, what we need is who can build a team that can compete within the restrictions that Spurs have, and those three managers have proved they can do it.
Right, Deji, thanks for coming on the show. We'll get you back whenever you're available. Like on Tuesday, we'll look for you on Tuesday shows, yeah, because you seem to be more available there than a Friday or a Sunday, right? Yeah, so you can find Deji here, guys. Get over there. Fantastic content over there. He's got a good following. Yeah, and thanks for coming on, Deji. Thanks.
All right, Adrian, thank you, Brad. Good combo, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon. Let's try and catch up before the final, because depending on the result.
Well, we got a show next Tuesday, the day before the final. If you want to come on next Tuesday, you're booked in now, and we're doing a preview of that. Yeah. So it's just Tuesday, preview of the final. Yeah.
All right, lads.
Right. Take care. Have a good week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Right, we'll get back to your take on Warrior. We'll give you, this is Brad's channel, guys.
Yes.
Out there, those of you watching and watching playback, 38 of you viewing us now.
I've been working on a song for Tottenham called Bringing the Cup Back Home or something like that. At the moment, the way it's going at the moment, I should be uploading it to YouTube on Friday. I normally upload on Fridays at 5 p.m. But what I'll do is I'll certainly, after it's uploaded, I'll be posting it on all of the various WhatsApp groups. It's only just a basic football song, really. It's nothing special. It's not exactly Chaz and Dave. But, it was a lot of good fun. I always said that I'd do a Tottenham song if we got to the final, because I always kept my football, separate from my music. But I'll have to wear my colours. But, Blue Sofa Songs. Check it out.
Right, I'll get your take on managers now. Any of these you like?
Okay. Inzaghi, I guess you have to say he's got into Milan to the Champions League final. So he must have something there. I'm not sure if he's tested in the Premier League, which again is a different league, but I've heard lots of good things about him. Glasner has had success. He's done incredibly well with Palace. I mean, he's gotten to a cup final. And I can actually see Palace winning on Saturday. The way they played against Aston Villa in that semi-final was, again, it comes down to the old cliche, they wanted it. And I think they might surprise a few people.
If he sets up the same way, I mean, against that Villa game, I mean, Villa were on top of him for the first about 20 minutes, and then Palace gradually grew into the game, then took over and hit them on the break. I mean, depends what Man City turn up. They can turn you over whatever you're doing if they turn up. But I think you still don't go, well, you could try going toe-to-toe Man City. I'm not sure that's wise.
No, I think the thing that impressed me about the semi-final was the fact that they not only did they defend really well, they also attacked really well, very, very quick. And this is where Ebenezer Eze is one of these players that I think we should go for. Should just put the money on the table and says, no, I mean,
they can't go on the fact that they played well against us, because everyone looks good against us.
I mean, Glasner, I guess, is quite, from what I've heard, is quite practical. And then if you go down, Silva, I think it's not too bad. He's done reasonable jobs throughout the country, throughout the Premier League. Areola, I think he's no doubt a decent manager, but I just wonder whether he's a bit of the flavour at the moment, sort of thing. And also, when you're playing at Bournemouth, when you're managing Bournemouth, there's no great expectations. And I'm sorry, but even though Spurs have been absolutely rubbish, probably for the past 6 or 7 years, we still have high expectations. Yeah. And that's what happens, is that someone like that will come in, and I can see us losing games and suddenly be Areola out, this sort of stuff. Frank, I think, is an amazing manager. Well, I was chatting to a Brentford fan the other day. You think of every season, and I said at the end of this season, you'll lose players, because you lose players every season. They lose players because they do so well, and everyone snaps up their players. but yet they still seem to recruit other ones and do the job. And I think Frank has been there throughout all that. Very, very practical. I think if he came to Tottenham, we wouldn't lose many games, but you still go back to Jose Mourinho when we weren't losing many games and everyone started moaning about the style of play. And unfortunately, I can see that happening with Thomas Frank. No matter how good a manager he is, I can see us winning games 1-0, being top of the league, and everyone's moaning because they're not playing exciting football. The other guys there, I don't know much about, actually. Kovac, I'll take your word on it, which I can't see. You moved him, Adrian.
No, I'll move this out. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Terzic at all.
He was manager of Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, they've done reasonably well, although, probably they'll never do as well.
He had a good spell at Brighton, but he's temperamental.
He seemed a bit firebrand. I'm not so sure. I read a story the other day that if Paratici comes back to the club, that might be one of the managers he might be after. Parker done very well to get Burnley promoted, but you have to say, is he ready for Tottenham? I don't know. And Southgate, well, I mean, I personally, I personally would have liked to have seen a manager like Ancelotti come in and see what this guy who's done so well with clubs like Real Madrid, won stuff with Chelsea, didn't do too bad with Everton when they were pretty rubbish. I just wonder what he'd do at Tottenham if he got.
I've read good reports about Xavi. When I was talking to Jack Kaneki on the Irish Hotspur, he didn't have much good to say about him. So obviously you've got to source these things to find out. I like the fact, if it's true what I read about Xavi, that he brought Lamar on the side. Barcelona are under financial constraints. He brought young players in. I don't know how many. Right? I don't follow Barcelona, right. But my argument is that with all the good youngsters we've got, I want a manager, finds one or two that catches eye and he gives them a chance. Because we're moaning about that, aren't we? We're saying, oh well, okay, go out and you want to bring all these players in, but then. Do you think these youngsters are ready? Do they need more loans? I mean, I'll go through the youngsters in a minute. So Xavi appeals to me. Glasner, because he's won something in Germany and done well here. The others, they'd be sort of two on my list. Frank, practical. Terzic, don't know much about him at Dortmund. The fans there didn't really fancy him. The style of football. Niko Kovac. Now, the way Bayern played at our stadium and smashed us, he produced that sort of a football team, yeah. De Zerbi, I don't think we're going to go anyone who's slightly toxic in any way whatsoever. Leave him, won't have it, right? You don't want to bring a manager and have to sack him if he blows up hot and cold. And Paratici's not even a done deal yet. And word is that nothing is going to be decided until after the Champions League final next week anyway. So even all the rumours linking us with players, park them. I mean, whether our recruitment team's probably having loads of chats out there, they should be doing it all season long anyway, right? So they'll have lists of that. Then it's a question like approaching agents saying, is your player interested in coming to play at Russ or whatever? And our league position doesn't help, which is mad when you consider it. I mean, the past seasons, we've had nothing but complaints, right, about not trying in the cups. Going to the top four. This season, we get to 2 semi-finals in domestic and a final, and our league form's crap, and we're still not happy, right? So, it's only Spurs. Right, let's just have a little look at the kids a minute. Let's go back to the banners. Because we got such a good... I'll go run through. I mean, Donnelly smashed it. Well, he's got player of the season in the Championship, hasn't he? And Keeley had 14 clean sheets, but... Jamie Donnelly's got a wicked killer forward ball.
Donnelly's isn't that League One?
Yeah, it's League One. Sorry, it's not. Yeah, it's League One. Because now they're talking about a Championship loan. I'd like to see him given a go in a pre-season friendly. Personally, I think he's that good. He came in as a striker, and Wayne Burnett converted him into a number 10. Vaskovic, he's just smashed it where he's been. He looks a generational talent. Every big club in Europe was after him. Alfie Devine, he's with him at Westerlo, but he lost a year of his progress when they changed the manager at Portsmouth, was it, or Plymouth? I get them both confused.
He was at Port Vale originally, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went to Port Vale. Ashley Phillips is at Stoke. Did they get rid? I don't know what happened to Stoke at the end of the season. So they had a good baptism of fire there because they was always in a relegation zone. I don't know if they stayed up. Dorrington's at He plays as left centre back, unlike Phillips. And all those three players are 6'4", 6'4", 6'5". The mums must have put them in grow bags when they were younger. Yang-Min Hyuk's doing well at QPR, but he's developing.
He's only got 17, isn't he? So
yeah, George Abbott is interested. He was captain of the under-18s. He came through to captain the under-21s. He's been out of Notts County. He plays defensive midfielder, central midfielder. He can slot on a back four. And he's got a few goals at Notts County. And, like, he smashed it there. He has absolutely smashed it at Notts County.
Isn't he their player of the year as well? I think.
Probably. Yeah.
Lancashire. He's captain of the under-21, so he's like captain material, isn't he?
Yeah. Will Lancashire, I mean, in last season, watching him in the under-21s, 23 league goals, for 30-plus goals in the competitions when the under-21s won both the competitions they were in. They won the league and then they do this silly cup after winning the league or whatever. They won that as well.
Stoke didn't get relegated, by the way.
Right, okay.
They finished 18th.
Right. They got extra teams, and they've got 22 teams or something in that league. I don't know.
24.
24. Right. Damola Ajayi, well, you'd have seen his goal against Elfsberg when he did the 1-2 on the edge of the box and put it in. Josh Keeley, like I said, 14 clean. I don't know. It might have been more than 14 clean sheets at the end of the season, but 14 clean sheets is good in League One. And then, like, Luca Gunter, I like this goalkeeper. I mean, in the under-21s, he looked, I mean, he's still developing, but he went to Wealdstone, right? And every time I looked at the scores, I'd lost 3-0, 4-0, things like that. So Matthew Craig, he's at Mansfield Town. I just think we'll get a couple of $100,000 from him. He'll go. Torres always developing. He's a ball-carrying midfielder like Cam, like Gascoigne-esque. When he's on song, he looks really good. I see him in a pre-season game. The game just flew by him. He couldn't get into it. Very, very skillful. Very good. Same with Callum Alusasi. He's very skillful as well. These really are for the future because they're not in the under-21s. Williams Barnett, number 10 for the under-21, for the under-18s. He is so composed in front of goal. And he has scored some absolute bangers. And the only reason I did Tynan Thompson, I've only seen him a couple of times. He's a left winger. And he just takes people on for fun. And keep an eye on it. Remember the words, this was TT, Tynan Thompson. I think this kid has got something special about him. He just caught my eye. But then I could be wrong. I was wrong about Santiago, went to Spain in the second division. I was wrong about, I think Niall John went out there as well. Thought was decent. So, football makes a fool. But I would like to see Vaskovic and Donnelly personally go out on a pre-season tour with obviously Mikey Moore's part of the squad now. And I'd like to see Abbott go as well. I really would. Because I think he might be a midfield solution. He might not. Right? The others, I mean, I'd rather take Dusk than Phillips or Dorrington at the moment, although Dorrington's better on the ball than Phillips, but they're both good on the ball. They're both going forward, good at progressing the ball as well, them centre-backs. All of them. Lancashire, I'd like to see him go on the tour as well, because he ain't really had a crack at West Brom.
Yeah, it's a bit of a death sentence to be loaned out to West Brom these days, isn't it?
Well, it was a bit like when Scarlett went to Ipswich, he didn't get a game. When he was at Oxford, he got 4 goals in about 20, and he's been carrying this groin injury, so that doesn't help. So that's the youngsters. We got a controversial referee for the final. We don't want to talk about that. Like, he's got a groin injury, right? We don't know. Yeah, he's had an operation, Scarlett, now. He's only 20. He's got lots of time on his side. Solomon, 10 goals, 12 assists for Leeds. Everton, Marcel, who've got ECL being linked. But, as Johnny Ham rightly said on Sean Butler's show earlier today, I mean, we don't like to get down that sort of political thing, but Solomon is an Israeli, and Marseille as a club, most of the population around the area, let's just say they're not Israelis, Brad, if you know what I mean. Like, so that could be a stumbling block there, right? But the manager there deserve it. He likes Solomon. So, yeah. So we've been linked with this guy again. He's smashed it this week. Only 9 players in the French league, all from PSG, got in their team of the season, and 2 from Lyon. And Ryan Cherky was one. We've been linked with him before, but again, he's 21.
21, yeah. We're going down that road again.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to who's that guy we were linked with a couple of seasons ago? And just basically fell off the face of the earth.
Gift Auburn.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah. And then they wanted like 40, 50, 60 mil from and all that. We're also looking at Rooney Bargy as well, and Scov Olsen, other wingers, you know.
The other lad that we were in that was going to go to Brentford didn't sign for him in the end.
Yeah. We've been linked with. I've watched this kid play because when we've played, they're under 21s, and when I see him, he's more and more an attacking mould or creative attacking number 10 midfielder. He's a good footballer. I like him. Sean didn't like him on his show, so he didn't rate him. It's fair enough. It's subjective, isn't it? But I like the look of him. I see him in a more forward position, and he's a threat. He reminds me a bit. Actually, he reminds me a bit of Grealish, but as you can see, he's left-footed. So because he's left-footed, he plays as a right winger, which is the norm nowadays. You invert your wingers, like so. And I've seen him playing more forward roles, and I like the look of him. Do I know where he's going to make that? Of course I don't. He's had a few games for Man City this year, though. I think he's played. Right. So let's just talk about. Do you know this story, Brad?
I heard that it's a German referee and he's controversial. That's all I know, but I don't know the circumstances.
2005, he accepted a £250 bribe from fellow referee Robert Heuser. Zweyer received a 6-month ban. 6-month ban just for taking a bribe. I mean, I don't know the details of the case, but Heuser received a lifetime ban and 2 years, 5 months in prison. So what exactly did Heuser do to get 2 years and 5 months and not be banned for football? And then there's no contrast between his sentence and that of that's all you need, a controversial referee in a final. Yeah, obviously he's been rehabilitated and he's back in the game, like, you know.
Yeah, because
it's
weird, isn't it?
It is weird. It is weird.
A bribe from a fellow referee is a bit strange, isn't it?
Well, I suppose refs all meet up. They're all mates. They have their little end of season party or whatever they do, you know. So,
well, it must have been quite serious if you went from prison for it. I mean, it obviously wasn't any more than football related. It must have been related.
He must have done more than a £250 bribe, mustn't he? I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's an awful long time going to prison for just bribing someone for £250.
Right.
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out on Wednesday. It could work in our favour. It might not work in our favour. You know, so
here we go, Ben. Welcome, Ben. I got my final tickets today. What a thing, fast, big up. Oh, you mean it's a fast getting them because I know they had issues. Fans were only getting one ticket and all that. I didn't have enough points to go for the first days and the second days, and I just look. You either get on the site or you don't. And then I was going to give a ticket away. I forgot it anyway. So. And then I looking at how you're going to transfer the ticket and all that, and it's just so complicated. And you're looking
well, as I say, my problem is getting there. So I'm glad you got your tickets, Ben. Hopefully you got a decent way of getting there as well.
Yeah, I get you, David. I think we should look at him in pre-season, but I think we'll sell him because we want the money. Right, let's get rid of that one. A second, where is it? All right, because I want to get back to this. Right. Premier League season 25-26 season starts Saturday, 16th of August, right? The summer transfer window ends 15 days into the new season. This is so the transfer window aligns in most leagues. Now, it actually opens on the 1st of June to the 10th, I think it is, or the 6th. And then there's a gap because we have to bend over backwards to help out Man City and Chelsea are in the FIFA World Club.
Bless them.
Just let, I mean, it's just rubbish, isn't it? Right. So let's see if I've got any other talking points. If not,
I mean, I always think the transfer window should end a week before the season starts. I've always thought that.
Yeah.
You know, it starts on June the 1st, or no, is it June the 1st? Yeah, June the 1st. So you've got 2 months to sort stuff out, you know.
Yeah. According to, we can have a little chat up. Right, we owe 337 million on transfers. Now, as that's amortized, even if you add to it, you see, that's what you are. If you bring 4 players in at 60 mil and you put 20 million down on each, you've got to put the remaining 160 mil on this total. This is where it affects you on PSR. We won't go into that, right? I can explain it, but I don't want to bore you to death at this late hour. Right, so, yeah, that's that. Now, after the debacle, Brad, against Palace, we'll have a little talk about this, then we'll end, right? I ain't got an absolute clue who's going to play Friday in this game.
The only thing I will say about the team that plays on Friday is that, and oh, hurrah, the Premier League changing our date of our game. Hurrah, hurrah. The only thing I can say is I think we'll see, we all agree that the first 11 is more or less set in stone for Wednesday night, barring any unforeseen injuries. So
he's not starting this game if he's took a slight knock to his
yeah. But provided that they're all still fit, I would say that they'll probably the starting 11 will get at least 45 minutes against Villa. Because
where are Villa in the league at the moment? I think they're really challenging for top 5.
Oh, they're still the challenge, yeah, but I don't particularly care about Villa.
I won't go into today, but I've got all the details of all the 115 charges at Man City because I think they're going to get points. Jose's always bantering, saying nothing will happen. I get the cynicism, Jose. If you're listening, I get the cynicism. Good fun, but and the same with Chelsea.
Well, you know my thoughts on that. If I don't,
going to lose their European place.
If I defraud the government out of tax for about £1,000, they'll probably send me in prison. If I defraud them out of 20 million, nothing will happen. So you know. Yeah. Anyway, no, I think that going back to the game, I think that we'll see our first 11 get at least 45 minutes because you want to keep them. You don't want to get them ring rusty. I know it's, you know, I'll be watching. Well, I won't be watching from behind the sofa because I'll be at the pub, but I'll be watching through like that to make sure that none of the players get injured.
And you'll have enough inside before the game starts so as you can just kill the nerves a bit.
Right? Yeah. So
I'll be getting some beers in. Don't worry. I mean, these finals, it's great to reach a final, but they are nerve-wracking affairs. They really are. Yeah,
now that we're working in the office for the foreseeable future, I won't get back to Ealing till about 6 o'clock. So, you know,
I think Kingsley starts again. I think Spence will start again. I still think it'll be Davis and Danso again. Gray. I think Gray starts again. I think it'll be the same back 5 that was against Palace. In midfield, Decky's not starting. Only leaves you. Well, you've got Basuma. I would actually like to see Mikey Moore as the 10 if Decky's not playing. I'd like to see him as the 10.
Well, if you're gonna play, if you're gonna pick a game to play him as a number 10, that's the ideal game, isn't it? Really, you know,
because then you can play Odegaard, Johnson, and Tell up front, Richarlison in the middle, rather, for the 2 wingers, and then you've got Basuma, Sarr. And then you could play. I'd give Mikey Moore a game.
Sonny's going to get some moments at the minutes as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah, but I think Son will come on. I mean, he got a good half hour under him. He looks okay. He weren't whacked. And see, I remember going back to the 91 Cup final. There was the injury worry of Gascoigne, and my mate Mark said to me, "What do you mean do? Bring him on in the second half?" Or I said, "No." I said, if you're worried about his stamina, you play him from the beginning. If he's all right half-time, fine. If he runs out of gas after an hour, then you take him off. Otherwise, you'd never know you get an hour out of the player, Brad. You know where I'm coming from? So I would actually – I mean, I don't think Ange will. I think he'll give him the second half. You don't want to risk him getting injured. I mean, we've been cursed with injury. I mean, I lose Bergvall and Madison as well, you know. And Decky's got a knock to his knee, which I think he's going to be okay. I thought Ainge was supposed to make a mention of it in the press conference today. Oh, just an interesting fact on that, guys. I mean, the reason the press conferences are today and they're talking about the final is because a week before a final, you're not allowed to have press conferences.
Right.
I actually think that's a good thing. You don't want all this hype and crap going on while you're trying to prepare a team for a final anyway. So I actually think that's a good thing. But it just seems weird because we've got Villa to play as well. So I don't know if it affects a press conference with Villa because, the reporters will start asking questions about the final. They will, right?
Yeah.
And injuries and crap. So they will. So yeah. What do you think of the lineup then? Do you think that's been roughly what we said?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there'll be much change from Sunday. I just think you might find your Van der Vens and your Romero's actually get minutes to just keep them, to avoid being really
It's a
rusty.
question if he thinks they need a bit of game time so they're not rusty. I don't think it's an issue for centre backs though, because you do the least run. I know VDV might chase a player down 3 or 4 times during the game, but centre backs do the least amount of running. Well, the goalkeeper obviously as well, but they do the least amount of running. So I don't get a problem resting them.
I just hope that Cash isn't in the Villa lineup, because he always seems to.
So we only need him injuring one of our players, yeah.
It's quite weird actually, because normally, 3 weeks between last game of the season and the final in the Champions League.
And really, Ange has got nothing to lose. He probably knows his job's gone, so he's got nothing to lose by bringing Mikey Moore and playing roughly the same team he played against Palace. Because if we were to get spanked 5-6-0 or whatever it was, he's still got the final, right? And his last chance, to go out in a blaze of glory. And do we blame him? Because when Decky went down, I was looking at Palace. I was looking at his face because I was looking to see if they've got an excruciating, painful sign on their face, but he wasn't. And he got up and he walked on his knee and then tried to go on. He's obviously, if it had been twisted and all that badly, he would have known. He would have known then, right? But the fact that he wanted to play on, I just think when you take a hard bone knock, sometimes it does give you that sickening, aching feeling, So I think he's fine. Yeah,
I just don't like the way that Ange said, "Oh, we're waiting to see it sort of calm down a bit." That was what
I said. David, if you've got any questions in the chat, throw them in, because we, Great, don't say David Spence, yeah. Saar Basuma Moore, yeah. I'd go with that Odegaard. Yeah, that's the team I'd pick, David. I'd give Moore a go at number 10. He can play there. But because I don't see Odegaard or Tel being able to do that, and Richarlison can't play as a 10. So, yeah, if you want to bring midfielders in, you could bring Elisasi in, you could bring in Ajayi in, who's a winger come Cam as well, but I don't think so. I think Moore's the one and he deserves a shot, unless we're forgetting anyone, which I doubt. Let me just go back to the team, the squad rather, not a team, just to see if I've missed anyone out, because I missed Bergvall and what's the name of that, because you're only allowed 200 characters, you see, in these things. So that's it. So yeah, I don't see. Yeah, we're quite threadbare to put us. There was 8 changes against Palace. Yeah, Scarlett said surgery, so it wouldn't be an option. Yeah, I don't see Johnson starting either. The one thing about Solanke, he's got quite a few goals in Europe this season for the games, and Johnson scored goals, so you can't ignore them. You can't ignore those two, and they've got to be wrapped in cotton wands. And Sonny will get his run out, and he'll be probably told, don't go in for any. Because I'd tell him, if I was manager, say, look, you can close them down and all that. Don't go into any. I'd say, don't, try and force them to kick the ball and make an error that way, than make any tackles, So I expect Sonny to get a half, really. Under normal circumstances, I would start him, but it's just too much of a risk,
Now, the sending offs don't count for the final, do they? Europa League final.
After the quarterfinals, all the yellow cards went. In the
semi-final, I'm
talking
about in the Premier League. So we could go out basically and try and get ourselves red carded. So we only end up with 7 players, and then the game has to be forfeit. Then we can't do that.
I'm just looking at these. Let's look at the youngsters for midfielders. Right. So Ajayi, they're away. I don't know. Analysasi, that's about it. Yeah.
Can we not record them from there? aren't their loan spells officially over now? That
Well, they should be. They should
yeah.
be. They should all be back at the club.
Yeah, because you could see
Unless they're
Donnelly
involved in playoffs. Orient are involved in the playoffs, though, weren't they?
oh no, actually Orient are, yeah, because they drew, didn't they? They drew 2-2, so they've still got another. Well, actually, that's probably this week, isn't
They
it?
were away, weren't they? Didn't they?
No, they drew 2-2 with Stockport,
Right.
and I think the second leg will probably be tomorrow.
Hmm.
So technically speaking, Donnelly's loan period could be over by tomorrow.
So this is where we find ourselves now. Season's nearly over. I think we just want to win this cup, and fans always get this. It's the same at the end of every season. Everyone's sort of like worn out, basically, because Spurs will have torn your nervous system to shreds during the season, right? So yeah, so we got Villa away Friday the 16th. Kickoff is at 7:30 for those that you don't know. Man United are playing Friday as well. They brought it in line, same thing. And then obviously Wednesday the 21st, we've got the final. We're the home side, so we should be playing in white.
Well, we are. I think Man United are playing in blue.
Yeah. And then we've got, a non-eventful game against Brighton. And I was hoping to see it. What I was hoping to see at Palace, I thought, don't lose the game, get a draw. I know we're going to go change a lot of players, but I thought just wanted to see a bit of growth and some individual performances. And the only person who came out of the game with any credit was Kinski.
Mm.
The rest were rubbish, right? So it's 4 more comments. Let's go through these. Big up, Dan, mate.
Mm.
Good friend of the show. Evening, Ryan. Wolves fan. Yeah, the second game is tomorrow.
Mm.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. The second game is tomorrow. Well, that might be screened somewhere then. Right. So,
Bit of Sky, probably.
Yeah. And rumour is although Donnelly's done well, the rumour is that West Brom would like to take Donnelly next year in the Championship. We'll see. We'll see. Right, guys. I have got nothing else. You've no more questions in here. Brad, you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, it's fine. I'm I'm looking forward to the final, obviously, but I'm also looking forward to the end of the season because it's been a very stressful season. Yeah. There are times where I've basically wanted nothing to do with social media and YouTube and that because of the toxicity that's been going around. Yeah. But luckily for me, I do like international Test cricket, so
I do as well.
Looking forward to England. I think they're playing India this season, so looking forward to that. And
the guy who scored nearly 10,000 runs for India is retiring.
Yeah.
Kohli, is it?
Kohli, yeah. Right, Kohli,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're Robert Villeham. You're having a pop at him now, David. Robert Villeham. I don't think he's going to be sacked. This women's team's still growing. It hasn't done too bad under them. Last season was all right.
I just think that what's annoyed me this season in social media is the fact that, it's fine to say you don't think Ange should be at the club or he's not a good coach or this or that. But some of the abuse he's taken has been absolutely disgusting. And I just think it's just really rubbish. He hasn't got a clue. Well, he obviously has been coaching for 26 years. He only knows a little bit about coaching, all this sort of stuff, clown faces. Well, the clown's going to take us to a final. So that said, I think we've gone.
Yeah. Right, guys, I want to thank everyone for their comments in the chat. I want to thank the 39 of you that are still viewing us, which is good for a Tuesday night this time. If you like the content, give the videos a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel because it helps the algorithm, it helps us to grow. We'll be a year old at the end of June, so we're doing okay. But with your help, which is priceless, we will do even better. And with that, I will play you out with what I'm trying to do as a good intro and outro. It's all experimental at the moment. Need to add pictures to it and all that. If we do eventually monetize, when we do, if no one comes up and says this clashes or it's a copyright infringement or whatever, I don't think it is. But leave a comment on this. And
you'll know if it is.
I want to see if on the right hand corner of our videos, I did do the banner with the YouTube link for people to subscribe on. I need to show. It's supposed to come in after about 30 seconds into the game. I don't know if I see it or we see it while we're live. So basically, to this right-hand corner, there should be a YouTube, the red and white YouTube motif, which people can click on and get straight to the channel. I don't know if you've got it on your channel. Have you got it on your channel?
Yeah, when my videos go out, there's a little and down the right you click on that to subscribe and all that.
Do you see it when you're live or not? I know we're talking over what we finished.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Well, maybe I haven't done.
Actually, no. I don't know if you see it when you're live, because obviously I don't put any live content out.
It might be on playback when people play back. Yeah, and a very big up to those you on playback. There's 41 of you now, but we'll be back Friday after the Villa game, because the Villa game's 7:30 to 9:30. And obviously, we'll be back. We may or may not do a show Sunday. We're definitely doing one Tuesday. I hope Brad's back for that, because that's the preview.
Yeah, I should be okay for that.
And we should know, you know, if we've got any walking wounded or what. Hopefully, we've got no injuries, you know. And with that, I'll thank you all, and I'll play you out this, and I'll see you in the back room.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Till